Hello, welcome to the Coaches Show. I'm Nick Merrick here with head coach Al Rooney. Coach, the weekend wrapped up showcasing the past. The Junior Predators on the sights for this weekend. But let's talk a little about last weekend, exactly kind of breaking down the games. It was where the Brahmas had the lead in all three of their games, but just couldn't come up with any victories.
Yeah, it was a very frustrating weekend. We controlled all three games really. We had the lead in all three games. In two of them, we had the lead late, and we just weren't able to hold on to it. I don't think it's something where we got to completely revamp and overhaul what we're doing, but we got to show up in big moments. We got to win the big moments, and unfortunately, this weekend we didn't do so.
What'd you tell the teams kind of each game as it progressed in the locker room after the conclusion on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Can't really tell you everything I said to them, but it's frustrating, and I know they battled hard. But basically, one of the things I said to them was, I'm not here to pat them on the back for losing and rub their backs or massage their egos. They have goals that they want to attain, both personally and team wise, and in order to do that, you gotta execute, and you gotta play to expectations, and you gotta win. And we didn't do so. We just didn't, and I certainly share some of the blame. I didn't make the proper adjustments at times in retrospect, and we'll make those adjustments heading into this weekend and see if we can get some different results.
What changes do you think could have affected that game?
Well, see, all three games, I don't like to completely fall into a shell. I'm much more of a coach where if you build a lead, then why change things? You're playing good hockey. You're winning. You're playing winning hockey. With a young team, I feel like sometimes if I tell them, all right, now let's fall back, we're just gonna fall too far back and just turn into a shooting gallery. In retrospect, we probably should have, fell a bit more into a trap and played a little bit more defensive minded, but I didn't change things up. So that's on me. That being said, we did play overly aggressive. Certainly not what I wanted to see. When you have a lead in less than 10 minutes left in the third period, catching two guys deep, and even one time three guys deep, it's just unacceptable, and it's poor execution. And I've always told the guys at the end of a game, each team generally is right where they deserve to be, and quite frankly, I guess we didn't deserve to win the games. You go up 2-0 on Topeka Friday, and 5 minutes in, and then you don't score a goal the rest of the way. It's frustrating, I know, but it's on us.
I know obviously nobody likes excuses in hockey, but one thing is that this is a team that really, with the additions of Gagnon and Pierce, it was the first time those two players played for you this season. While the other teams have had since training camp back in early September, do you think that 2 months extra of preparation for the opponents help aid them to victories? Because they were close games. It wasn't like the Brahmas were blown out.
No, yeah, it definitely affected us as far as chemistry-wise, because they were each on a different line. That being said, they're skill guys. They're good players. They certainly didn't hurt us. They each got a few points this past weekend. They played well. And again, I mean, if you look at it, the Topeka game, I was probably the most disappointed in that, in the sense that I think the first half of the game we played really well. They never really outplayed us, but the bottom line is, we scored 2 goals in the first 5, and then the last 55 we didn't accomplish anything. Point Mallard, I think we vastly outplayed them. I really do. They scored with 4 seconds left in the first period on some poor decisions by a couple guys out there, and that made it a 1-1 period. That changed the dynamic of the game, I feel, because we dominated them that first period. We were out shooting them 7-2 at the time. We make a couple decisions, and it ends up in the back of our net. And now they go into the second period with some life. We go down, we accomplish nothing out of that domination, so that kind of affected our psyche a little bit. But again, we had the lead with 7 minutes left, and we didn't hold on to it, and they win a game. And then the Nashville game, we flat out outplayed them for 52 minutes. But the last 8 minutes, they outplayed us enough to tip the scales to a win. So I don't think it's anything where we have to completely change what we're doing, but we got to tighten up in key moments.
And I've obviously seen you because of those new additions. You brought in the forwards. The last coach's show, you mentioned somebody in the top line who started your season would be on the third line. And now we saw Shipchitsky back into the top line. I saw just throughout the weekend you adjusted your lines. Is that something you're going to stick with for this Nashville weekend, or is it going to be another let's go back to the drawing board and see what lines we can come up with?
No, I think we've settled into to some lines that I'm going to stick through heading into this weekend. Shipchitsky is a player who and this is a compliment toward him. He makes those around him good, but he's more effective when he has better players around him. I think that on Friday when he was on the third line, it didn't elevate that third line enough, and he kind of got lost in the shuffle a bit. I think bringing him back up into a top six role benefits us more, and he put some points up over the final two games that showed that. But now I'm in a position where do I overload my top two lines, or am I going to put two and a grinder, two and a grinder, and two and a grinder, and level off with three lines that way and have a shutdown fourth line? So that's kind of really the only decision I'm with right now. I think I'm going to go back with DeGenova, Gagnon, and Kozlo. I had dropped him down, but I think I'm going to go back up there because Kozlo brings a little bit of some gritty teeth out to that line, and so on and so forth. So and probably Dunner between Shipchitsky and Pierce, or Pierce between Dunner and Shipchitsky, and that'll be kind of a solid top six for us moving into the weekend.
And obviously the fans, again, they're on the road against Nashville Jr. Predators this weekend. Switching gears, a couple questions that way. What was it like in that first experience of Nashville on Sunday? And when, obviously at the time, Nashville was just blowing teams away. They've had offensive bursts in the past. They've scored 13 goals in a game, and that was 52 minutes of hockey. You just said where you pretty much shut them down until the final stretch. But does that give you and the team confidence, knowing that okay, in the past, now for Nashville this weekend, let's take this serious because we know what they could do, and we know how we could play?
Yeah, I think it gave some of the guys in the room a belief. I'm almost disappointed to say that when we were up 2-0 on them, there was. I heard a couple comments on the bench. There was actually some disbelief, and we have a younger team, so that's something I reminded them this week, that you got to believe in yourself. That's half the battle. I think we have that now, that we outplayed them. Until late in the game, they were going for line changes, just shaking their heads. We outplayed them. They scored on a power play goal to get the first one on the board for them in the second. When we're up 3-1, when they got the power play with about 6 or 7 minutes left, I thought to myself, if we kill this off, it's game over. If they score, I think, unfortunately, the guys might tighten up a little bit and we might scramble. And sure enough, they scored about 10 seconds in. They won the draw, and the goal was a beautiful deflection. It was an NHL quality deflection. It's going in on anybody. But the tying one and the fourth one were defensive lapses that need to be cleaned up, and we didn't handle the momentum swing well enough. But back to your point, I think we do have confidence going in now that we can not only play with them but outplay them. We just got to tighten up in key moments, and I also look at Saturday's game at Bridgestone Arena as a neutral site game. None of their guys have played a game there. I think they'll be just as enamored with the surroundings. So I think that's also a game that we can jump on and get some points on.
And really, it was an exhausting 3-game weekend for you guys too, and now a shortened week in practice. How do you feel your team has responded in this week's practice and preparation for the weekend?
I think good. I think we know that we have the amount of skill. We just got to be organized and make those adjustments come game time. We've practiced with the mindset that be prepared to play with a lead. So I've actually gone over, the trap and some, defensive schemes, both in a forechecking sense as well as a defensive zone. So we're preparing to play with a lead. We've done it quite a bit, and unfortunately, like my favorite team, the Islanders of last year, we can't seem to hold on to these leads. So we're preparing to get a lead and hold them this time, and we believe we can go to Nashville and win some games.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for the comments. Obviously, the Brahmas ready to take on the Nashville Jr. Predators on the road this weekend for a set of 3 games. Brahmas looking to rebound. We're going to take a break here on the Coaches Show. When we come back, we'll have our player spotlight with Connor Durkin.
Zaroma's only uses the freshest ingredients. Located inside the NYTEX Sports Center, Zaroma is your one-stop shop for food, friends, and Lone Star Brahmas watching parties. Visit www.zaroma.net for menu, directions, and delivery information.
Welcome back to the Player Spotlight. Nick Merrick here with defenseman Connor Durkin. Connor with 8 points on D this season as the weekend showcase wrapped up. The Nashville Jr. Predators in the front view mirror for this Junior Brahmas team. Connor, how's the week been for you?
Well, not the best coming off those 3 losses. Rooney was pretty pissed to begin with, so practice though, I mean, yesterday we started off kind of slow and Rooney wasn't happy with us, but we picked it up, so we're hoping to kind of jump back.
Well, here's the big thing. Obviously, when you look at it, and everybody's looking at it, sure, there were losses, but this was a Brahmas team that took control of the games early, and it was essentially the first full weekend that this team has seen every player. It seems like a new player's coming in piece by piece to slowly get this Junior Brahmas team together. So what's it like from your standpoint of having to adjust? Do you think that was the main disadvantage?
I mean, a lot of the time it's tough because we have, a couple different power plays and stuff like that. So with Gagnon, Pierce, and then even some of the NA guys coming down, coach will put like Severson out on PP1 or something like that, and say we might not all be on the same page, I guess is a good way to put it. So we're working that out though. We've had practice.
But now obviously Nashville this weekend, and a big reason why this is such a huge game is not only is it the top team in the South, but this is a team that the Junior Brahmas had a 2-goal lead against on Sunday into the third period, and this is a team that knows they can beat the Predators. Is that kind of what you've seen from the locker room, that this team's just ready to just take it to the Preds this weekend?
Yeah, we were all talking, coach and all the guys, how, to take away from it, nobody likes losing, but as you said, we were up 2-0 for the entire game. We played 52 minutes, and we all feel like we deserved the win, but we know that we can't let up for that last 8 minutes.
So what's going to be the difference going into this weekend to make sure it's a full 60 minutes of hockey?
I think we're going to end up basically starting off the same way we have, play hard and try to pick up the lead. And then we're going to actually try to start playing, because Coach last time he said keep playing to win, don't play not to lose, basically. And I think he's actually going to switch up the game plan later on in the game this time. I think he's going to take a different approach on it. So.
And this is actually a weekend where you guys are going on the road essentially for the first time. Sure, we went to Dallas Junior Stars, but that was right down the road in Euless. Now it's a 12-plus hour bus ride we were just talking about. What's that like for the team? Do you think it's a chance for the team to kind of grow together and become closer, or do you feel like it's just one of those long road trips that, hey, we've all done it in the past, it's going to suck, but we'll be excited when we're in Nashville?
I think it's actually good for us. Here, there's guys that'll hang out after practice. Some guys go to work and stuff like that. But now it's actually like we are forced to be with each other 100% of the time. So I think it'll definitely help us bond a little bit more.
And previewing this weekend, too, the power play kind of came back to life over the weekend despite getting the 3 losses. And you've been a reason for that, too, on the power play. 3 power play points for you on the season already. How do you feel that's going to be improved this season against one of the best teams in the South?
Well, it really tests us because Nashville, they play really aggressively. So, we're really focusing on sticking away from the one-on-one hockey and maybe just chipping the space and trying to make passes to where they basically aren't, to kind of open things up a bit so we can get some more shots.
So what's the biggest thing in the game plan you're looking to change then going into this weekend?
Me personally, or as a
Sure,
team?
you personally.
I've just been really tired of it the past 2 weekends even. I've had mistakes late in the game that has resulted in a goal, and sure, I know hockey's a team sport and all, but I feel like majority of the fault is on my shoulders at that point.
Well, here's the thing. You brought up an interesting point because, talking with Coach over the past couple weeks, here's one that said, I need players to be accountable and they need to be credible for mistakes. And here you are in front of camera saying, you know what? Yeah, I might have made some mistakes, but is that kind of the learning curve that, that this team is willing to say, hey, on my back, my fault, let's pick it up next shift.
Yeah, I mean, early on, there's a lot of guys that, you'll see kids pointing fingers, not taking it, make a better pass and not accepting it. But when it comes down to it, everybody could have done something basically to keep the win, So, I mean, everyone's kind of understanding, in the between the pipes, I guess, obviously saving the puck. Defense, we can't let that shot get off, and forwards I don't know if it was a bad change in some of the games or what, but everybody has at least some fault, and I think they're realizing it now.
Well, maybe the Brahmas are coming around, so that's obviously a great thing to hear back at home is this team's really gelling together, and the fact that the guys are going out to Nashville this weekend, again, all games Friday through Sunday. But a little more personal dive on Connor Durkin. Have you ever been to Nashville before, being from the Midwest?
Yeah, I love Nashville. I'd go. I mean, first time I went down there, I was playing hockey. I think I was maybe 8 years old, and all the parents, they, there's hockey during the day.
Oh, yeah.
Get the kids to the room, and all the parents go out and they go to the bars and whatnot. But I just like the atmosphere down there.
Of course, it's big country town bars too, all around, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully the players won't be going there too much this weekend, obviously at all. But obviously the atmosphere there is very cool. But coming from the Milwaukee Admirals team from last year, what was the biggest thing you've learned from yourself as a player growing, coming to this Junior Brahmas organization?
You mean like what I learned from the Admirals?
Yes.
I mean, we really had a tough year in the beginning. Tough year the entire season, but later on we started at least competing better. But, I mean, I've had two teams, that being one of them, where, no matter what your record is, you got to basically just keep busting your ass, basically,
Right.
So no matter what the score is, and you got to pick it up.
And we've obviously been joking, too, about the weather here in Dallas, seeming to change, but nothing like your roots back in Illinois. How does it compare down here in Texas from Illinois?
I love it. I always, I'll be talking to my parents or, my girlfriend or one of my buddies back at home, and they're saying that, it's 30 degrees out. I'm like, really? It's like 75 and sunny here? I'll send pictures. Like, yeah, there's not a cloud in the sky right now. It's beautiful here, but I like it a lot.
Do you feel like the hockey culture is kind of coming back to Texas, and do you think it's bigger than you initially thought it would be?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people, locals around town, why I'm down here, and they say, why'd you move to Texas to play hockey? Is there even ice down here? And I always tell them, like, surprisingly, the Southern Division is growing tremendously.
Yes.
I think, 3 teams got added this year?
Yes.
So definitely it's picking up big time.
It's a very big hockey one for sure. And obviously this weekend, to note, the Junior Predators against the Texas Junior Brahmas, the game on the road in Nashville this weekend. So everybody will wish the boys luck as they go away. That's it for our coaches show. Nick Merrick joined alongside Connor Durkin, previously Al Rooney. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Coaches Show.